Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by Mr. Muskie Charters, offering full-service guided fishing trips for walleye, muskie, bass, and sturgeon on Lake St. Clair and the Detroit and St. Clair rivers. Booking information is online at mrmuskiecharters.com. By Grilla Grills of Holland, Michigan, makers of wood pellet, charcoal grills, and professional pellet smokers. Grilla Grills are designed for ease of use to improve your grilling or smoking skills. More information at grillagrills.com. Everybody, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors, and thank you for joining us this week. We've got a brand new show chock full of all sorts of cool stuff. We're going to do some big lake fishing on the west side of the state. We're going to do some small stream fishing in kind of the mid-Michigan northern part of the state. And we're going to do some food plot stuff in southern Michigan. So lots of good stuff on this week's show. Make sure you stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger, and it's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's meat processor and Michigan destination since 1988. Offers a variety of homemade smoked meats and Michigan-made products in-store and online. The Country Smokehouse features an outdoor barbecue and bar. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest Pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com.
To those who say we can't build a healthy economy while protecting the environment, DTE Energy has something to say. We're already doing it. Because you don't get to the forefront of cleaner, efficient energy by talking about it. DTE Energy.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
We are in 110 feet of water, just a little bit south of the pump storage facility, and the water has apparently turned over a little bit. We've got some cold water on the bottom, some trout down there, and we're going to focus on catching trout. We'll have plenty of spread out here that's going to hopefully be able to find some silverfish in there with it. But
Are there any kings around right now, or?
we made a lot of phone calls. I haven't heard anybody catching a king in, more than maybe one king randomly in a trip in the last couple of weeks. So
This trip took place just a week or two back, right before the Ludington fishing tournament happened, which was this past weekend. When we were there, the kings hadn't really shown up yet, but right off the bat, we had a double on some very nice lake trout.
Yep.
All right.
You guys.
Today we had a hodgepodge of folks on the boat. Some folks from the Mason County Historical Society, an outdoor writer, the head honcho of the Steelhead and Salmon Association, all here to really promote this area. And as we found some fish, I had Dennis talk a little bit about the future of this fishery here in Lake Michigan.
Well, science bases all of our decisions and the positions that we support. Right now, we're in a very good position. The bottom trawls and the acoustic trawls this past fall have shown that there is an increase in alewife abundance in the system. So we have more prey fish. So the prey-fish ratio, the predator to prey ratio, is taking a positive move. That being the case, the DNR's Michigan Lake Advisors came together and approved, recommending to the technical committee that we increase lake-wide plants of Chinook salmon by 450,000 in 2020. And in Michigan, we're looking at increasing the plant by 150,000. This is exciting because it means that there's going to be more opportunity for the sport fisher when he takes advantage of his weekend on the water or a day trip on the water. So very positive news for fishing in the future.
The lake trout fishery has really become a staple over the last few years in Lake Michigan. They have become a consistent and plentiful option for big lake anglers.
What do you think, Brian? What you got there? Feels like a decent fish. Still got quite a bit of line out.
Another laker?
Hard to say yet. I'm guessing laker because it hasn't really made any runs on me, just pounding. So.
Whether you're on a big boat or a 16-foot aluminum with the right weather day, this is a kind of fishing that almost anyone can take part in.
Today we're fishing 110 to 125 feet of water. There has been a little turnover in the lake, so we got some cold water on the bottom. For the lake trout to be in here, one of the things you have to have is that cold water on the bottom. So when it gets warm this time of year, the trout aren't going to be here until there's been a little bit of a rollover. Today we've got that. We've got 40 degrees down in the bottom. There's something about this area. You can tell by the way the riggers are bouncing. There's some stone down here in the bottom. We've had a few snags out here today. But you know, a lot of Lake Michigan is the sand. At least on this side of the lake, there's not a lot of rock structure to fish off of that hold those lake trout, but we do have it here, and so we're fishing on the bottom. We've got two riggers bouncing on the bottom. We're using spinnies with either spinning blows or whirly gigs, and that's where most of our hits are coming, are right off the bottom. We've also got divers that are working on the bottom doing the same thing.
Well, as it turns out, I was able to hand off the camera and bring in a nice fish as well.
Nice big laker. How big a laker, Jimmy? I'm gonna say 9.2. Okay.
8.7.
You got him? Turned on.
We got a 9.2 and an 8.7.
Got it? Yeah.
Whoa!
9.1. Well, it's bounced 9.1 out. All right, you got that. Between 9 and 9.2, 9.3. Nice. Good call.
Nice fish. Nice job,
Captain. You've been elected an observer.
Well, we had two boats out today full of folks who love this part of the state, and we did well. No kings, but two good boxes of lakers. The kings have now moved in, so you have even more options if you head to this area over the coming weeks. So the plan was to hit the shore, have some of this fish for lunch, and then hit the Maritime Museum here in town. Now, I get here several times a summer and had never been to this museum right on the water in the old Coast Guard station. But I tell you what, I had missed out. This place was very impressive, and if you're in town this summer, you may want to check it out.
We're at the Port of Ludington Maritime Museum in Ludington, Michigan. This museum is a 1934 Coast Guard station that's now been converted into a maritime museum to tell the significant history of Mason County and Ludington's maritime. What people are drawn to, one, is it's a very digitally interactive museum, so there's a lot of interactive exhibits here. This museum tells the history of the car ferries. So Ludington at one point in time was had the largest port for car ferries, so there was 9 different car ferries that came in and out of Ludington back in the day. So this lower level that you're seeing here really goes into the car ferry history. Then as we go into the upper floors, we have Coast Guard history as well. And then we touch on the industries such as the lumbering industry, the boat building industry, and some of the significant industries that built Ludington and put us on the map. And so it really represents that. This was the Coast Guard station from 1934 until 2004. And then it was decommissioned and they built a new Coast Guard station next door. And then at that point, the city of Ludington was trying to decide, what are we going to do with this building? And so the Historical Society started to work with the city of Ludington and said, you know, we have a significant maritime history in this area, obviously being right on Lake Michigan, and we'd really like to tell the story of that here in a museum. And so
this was not like many of the museums you may have been to before. It's pretty high-tech and full of stuff to check out.
People are surprised by, one, the quality of the exhibits. The quality of the exhibits are top-notch, right up there with other highly rated museums around the nation. They're also surprised by the size, that when they come in through the front doors, they don't realize it's as big as it is. So being that we have 3 floors, people are really surprised by that. And then they love, we'll see later, the pilot house, which they can pilot a car ferry, the PM22, across Lake Michigan. They can do it at night, they can do it coming into port, going out of port, so that's a favorite exhibit that people really love.
I'll be right up front and say that I'm not a museum guy. I don't usually gravitate toward this kind of stuff, but you know what? Maybe I have missed out on some cool stuff. This place was really fun to see and very informative as well. I learned a lot about the town I grew up in, but had never known. So whether you come here for the lake trout, the salmon, or the beach, you now have another spot to check out as well, here in Michigan's Out of Doors. Well, if you have a chance, make sure you get out on the big lakes this summer. It is always a lot of fun out there. Now, one thing that I grew up really not doing much of is small stream trout fishing, but Jim Wood is going to show us how to do that here in this next story. Look under the radar.
All right, me and Jimmy are going trout fishing here on a nice little stream here in northwest Michigan. Hopefully we're gonna produce something.
Oh, fish! Oh! Well, that was not a keeper, so we'll go with the long distance release on that one. So Jim, there's some fish in here.
There is. Yep.
Well, this is a small stream and very tight. Not typically my cup of tea, but Jim Wood is quite the trout fisherman from what we've heard. So I'm expecting big things from Jim. So if we can catch a couple, we're hoping to do a little recipe with some fresh trout. So far it's not looking good, but we've just started. So we'll keep going.
Not a bad rainbow.
Remember last week when I said being where trout live is really cool? I was thinking of a different river. It opens up, yeah, to 10 feet.
It's almost a dramatic difference.
Well, Jim has fished this stretch of river for, gosh, I think he said since he was just a little kid. And this is tough fishing. I mean, I've done a little bit of stream fishing, not very much, but I'm not sure if I've ever really fished anything this tight. But if you can get the, you know, right now we're throwing spinners and we're trying to get them into, you know, some of that fast water along the edges. It's just tough to get it where you want it to go. But we've caught a couple fish, obviously just small, but you know, it's a fun night. It's kind of a little overcast. There might be a storm moving in, but it's a beautiful river. We're kind of here in mid-northern Michigan. And, you know, if you're not going to catch a bunch of fish, was there a better way to spend an evening than just walking up a river? I'm not sure, but hopefully we'll get enough for a little recipe, but it's fun to see Jim kind of in his element, and this is tough. I'm not sure if I've ever fished anything this tight before, but it's still a lot of fun. Nice job, Jimbo.
Oh, thanks. I don't think he's the biggest brown in the river.
No? That's a pretty little fish.
Bingo.
Fish. I don't know what I'm doing.
You got that net.
Oh!
That was a nice trout.
Yeah, that was. That had to be a, what, 12, 14 incher?
Just saw all of that. He's by far our biggest.
I was reaching for the net. He was right here. All right. See, maybe I should just like that. Wait, I got one coming in. I think I got this one. Yes. Quality.
Gave everything we could. That's all I got to say.
Okay, well, we are here with chef extraordinaire, Jim Wood. And not a bad trout fisherman, actually. He caught a handful of nice little ones. We didn't have any keepers. I lost probably a new state record. It was quite something. As you can tell, I was a little distraught when that happened. And anyway, so our plan was to do a trout recipe, but Jim, thinking ahead, which I'm not sure if this is good or bad, but he brought steak instead. And so we are going to see some New York strips done to perfection up here at Trout/Beef Camp. And we might give it a little bit more in the morning, and we might not. We'll see. But it was fun. And what'd you catch? 3, 4, 5, something like that? That guy caught a couple dinkers and
12 or 13, I would say.
And
off camera.
And lost the one that would have made the day.
Yeah.
Well, any day at Trout Camp is pretty special. And when you have a chef in camp, well, it only makes it that much more fun. Thanks to Jim for sharing his little slice of heaven with us. We as Michiganders, we are pretty lucky. Hopefully, you can get out yet this summer and try your hand at all that this grand state has to offer.
With the deer baiting ban in place here in southern Michigan, food plots are becoming very, very popular. One way to do that is with an ATV like we've got here. Well, there's all sorts of options out there for ATV work with food plots. The problem with ATV food plot machines are they don't have a whole lot of weight. With an ATV, you can't pull a whole lot behind it, and there's not enough weight to actually work up the ground and break it up. That's where the Groundhog Max ATV plow comes in. I've been using one of these for many, many years. It works really well. One of the cool things is you can transport it just like this. It goes up. You put it on the back of your machine, you can drive wherever you're going, and if you can get an ATV into the spot where you're going to put the food plot, it'll go into that spot. You don't have anything wider than the ATV, it's inside. And if you look at this, it looks quite small. It's inside the tires even. It doesn't look very big, but you can go very, very fast with this. You don't have to go real slow to incorporate the, to work up the ground to break it up. It makes working it up very quick and very easy. Another thing is you can back up, so you can back right up into a spot and go forward. You don't have to worry about something on the back of your ATV. Now you may be thinking that this is a very small plow, but it puts a lot of force in one small area, so it's able to break up the ground very, very well. The force of the machine, the weight of the machine, is pushing this thing into the ground. So when I get to where I'm going, all I have to do is pull a pin, flip it upside down, drive it up on some blocks, drop it to the ground, pin it, and I'm done. It's ready to go. It takes about 2 minutes to set this thing up, and then you're golden. You can go ahead and rip up the ground, no problem. Another cool thing is you can use almost any machine. For many years I've used an air-cooled Honda 300 for this work, and it's done just fine. I've since upgraded to another used quad, but it's only a 500 and it's liquid cooled, but it's nothing extraordinary. I don't need a big heavy machine to do this work. So the food plot that we're going to be working up today is a nice little pocket area. We cannot get a tractor through a wet spot up here, and it's too tight to come in over here. There's no way to get a tractor into this food plot. But my ATV, I can get in no problem. So I put this up in transport mode, and then when I get here, I'm going to pull up onto a couple blocks, drop it down, pin it, and I'm ready to go. The Groundhog Max ATV plow is a great option for those looking to get into a tight spot, put in a food plot, and get out. Well, that concludes the tilling portion of this food plot, and as you can see, it really did a good job of getting down and working in there deep. The weight of the machine pushed right down and it works well. So I think we're all set now to put some seed in the ground. We're going to cull the packet, wait for some rain, and hopefully this thing will sprout great. This is going to be a good food plot come fall. Well, we've got everything tilled up, and now starts one of the most important parts of the process, and that's cultipacking. We need to provide this small seed. We're planting clover in these food plots. We need to provide this good seed to soil contact. We don't want it very fluffy. We don't want the ground very clumpy. And by running a cultipacker over the full food plot before we seed, that allows us to have a firm seed bed for the seed to land on. And then we cultipack it again to push that seed down into that firm soil bed, and then it allows it to grow better. That's what we need for good seed growth. What I'm going to be using today with my ATV is a Packer Max cultipacker, and this is kind of the new style for food plots. This thing is a polyethylene cultipacker, so it's thick, it's very durable. You're going to run over rocks and everything, and it's not going to matter with this. It's easy to set up. Then you fill it with water. It becomes about 350 pounds, and it pushes down against the soil very, very well. I use this Packer Max because it's very portable. I can throw it on my trailer, bring it to another food plot. At the end of the year, I just drain it and make sure there's no water in it for the winter time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cultipack it once, seed the food plot, and then we're going to cultipack it again and provide good soil to seed contact that'll be needed for this food plot to grow. Well, now that we got our clover in the ground, all we've got to do is pray for rain. We've got our trail camera set. We'll see what starts coming into this food plot once it starts growing. Hopefully this will be the food plot we kill a big buck on this fall.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching Michigan Out of Doors. If you missed part of this week's show or maybe last week's show, you can always check us out on our website at michiganoutofdoorstv.com. Full episodes of the show there. We're on social media. We're on YouTube if you want to subscribe to our channel there and get an email every time we post something new. Lots of good stuff coming over the next several weeks. We're going to be doing, of course, some more fishing. We're going to be talking deer regulations as we get closer to the new season. Lots of stuff happening in the great state of Michigan. If we don't see it in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see it right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or greenstonefcs.com. By EOTech, a Michigan company, equipping law enforcement and sportsmen alike with quality optics, creating jobs for Michigan workers. On the web at eotechgear.com. By Huron Lady River Cruises in Port Huron, offering daily sightseeing trips and private cruises for all ages. Sightseers will experience the International Blue Water Bridge, Great Lakes Freighters, the Fort Gratiot Lighthouse, and more. Huron Lady River Cruises on the web at huronlady.com. Closed captioning provided by Randy's Hunting Center, serving Michigan as Ruger and Leupold's National Dealer of the Year, and inventor of Ruger's 450 Bushmaster rifle.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan man. From the Keweenaw down to St. Joe, Kalamazoo, East to Monroe, to St. Marie and back again. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan